the first session here for the afternoon. We have Pierre that came all the way from Quebec. He's with West Penetone, and so he's going to talk about a couple of cleaning and sanitizing solutions. So, yeah, I'll hand it over to him.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the meal. A very good lasagna. My name is Pierre Stewart. I'm a technical director, director of R&D at West Penetone Incorporated. We're a manufacturer of industrial cleaning products, disinfectants, and specialty chemicals. And we've been supplying barns with cleaning products and disinfectants for quite a few years now. We have a long relationship with High Life as well as Demeter. And we weren't founded yesterday. The company was started by a guy named Robert West in 1882. And no, I was not with the company when it started. And so anyway, it's a Canadian company. Head office is in Montreal. We also have some offices and subsidiaries in Edmonton. We have a couple of companies that we recently acquired, Unica Canada in Boucherville, AccuChem in Edmonton. There's also an American affiliate, Penetone Corporation, there in New Jersey, and Petron is a manufacturer of industrial lubricants. Yeah. Little special effects there. So we have two production plants. One is there's two in Montreal with the company we recently acquired, and there's also one in Edmonton. The Edmonton one specializes mainly in the oil patch, as you can imagine, in Fort McMurray and that sort of thing. We have warehouses in Halifax, Montreal, Toronto, Winnipeg, and Edmonton. We have R&D in Montreal and Edmonton. We have a national sales force that goes pretty much across the country. We also have an international presence. And we deal with several research partners. We've dealt with Guelph University, the University of Montreal, the University of Minnesota. I'm not sure if you're familiar. I'm sure the vets here know about Scott D. He's the well-known vet who does research on PRRS virus in Minnesota. We've done some work with him. And also the vet school in St. Hyacinth. And we also collaborate with various other scientific outside laboratories, microbiochem, and this is mainly for testing efficacy of our products against different microbes and viruses. Let me just see here. Okay, so I want to make sure I didn't skip one. We manufacture both liquids and powdered products. We're one of the last few companies, I think, to actually manufacture powdered products. It's sort of going down in popularity. We have a GMP certification. We also do contract manufacturing for De Laval for their veterinary drugs. And we also do other private brands and private labels for other companies. Some of our products are certified Ecologo. We also have OMRI certification, which is an organic certification for some of our products as well. Québec Vrai, well, that's a sort of an organic biological certification in the province of Quebec. We tackle many market segments, obviously agriculture. We also do food plants such as slaughterhouses, food processing industry, supermarkets. We used to be very big in that, but eventually we got out of that. Other sectors we tackle also aerospace, oil and gas, petrochemistry, transport, and that's different parts. The oil and gas, obviously, mainly Edmonton, that sort of thing. Our farm experience goes back, I think, close to 20 years when we started doing it. We have some, we have scientific expertise. We do the R&D mainly in Montreal for some of the products. Very high performance products, which I will describe a bit later, and industry specific. So we fine tune our products for the needs of the customer. And so, we do expertise in training, we're experienced, and we also collaborate with producers to, again, to get the best results overall, make everybody happy. So our main topic, of course, is cleaning and disinfecting, whether it's the actual premises or the transport trucks. or even the water lines. Our most popular product, I would say, is the Adhere CPM. And this is, like I said, it's chlorinated alkaline gel degreaser. What does that mean? Well, it's a liquid product, and when you contains chlorine bleach and also contains some caustic to do that, and a detergent that does the bulk of the cleaning. And also what happens in this one is when you dissolve it in water, when you mix it with water, it actually forms a kind of a gel. If you shake the solution, you'll see that the air bubbles just sort of go slowly up to the surface. It has almost like a jello type consistency. And the advantage of that is it really increases the contact time on vertical surfaces. So if you spray it on or if you foam it on, it will stay on for a very long time. And of course, the contact time is very important for getting a good cleaning result. Adhere FO does the same thing. It also forms a gel, but it doesn't have the chlorine bleach. Some people don't like the smell of the chlorine, especially if you're working in a relatively small, confined barn. That chlorine smell can be a bit overpowering. So this is the non-chlorinated. It's also a mild alkaline gel. It's safe on aluminum and the other soft metals. So it might be something you could use, for instance, on the aluminum of the trucks, for instance. Foamies is a non-chlorinated foaming degreaser. This is really something we initially developed for the food plants, but can easily be also adapted to a barn. It's basically a standard mildly caustic, high foaming product with a detergent, relatively inexpensive, and so that sort of might be your day-to-day product. Metasol is a heavy-duty alkaline cleaner. It does not contain any caustic, so it's aluminum safe. This is the product I would normally recommend for cleaning, again, the trucks, especially the aluminum parts of the trucks. We've had very good feedback on that from people who've used to clean the trucks with the Metasol. Premise Hypox, it's on the bottom of the list. This doesn't sell very much. It's the idea behind this one was to have some peroxide and foaming agents, and it would be kind of like the Adhere product, except that if people don't like the smell of the chlorine, we can replace the chlorine with hydrogen peroxide, which is pretty much odorless. So that one, we propose it, and for specialized cases, I guess you could say. Now, our sanitizers and disinfectants, there's just one thing I want to mention before I get into the disinfectants. I've been giving these kind of discussions, it's kind of seminars for a long time. And one thing I noticed is a lot of barn managers and even veterinarians, they put a lot of emphasis and focus on the disinfectants. And, I always get questions, whether your disinfectants, will it kill PRRS? Will it kill Serco? Will it do this and will it do that? What's the best disinfectant? And it is important, but what's even more important is the slide I just showed you. Cleaning, that is step one. That is by far the most important step, because if you don't clean properly, the best disinfectant in the world will not work. You basically can't disinfect it. You can't kill the germs if you can't get at the germs. The germs are hiding behind biofilm or whatever, it won't work. So I just want to emphasize this. If you ever have an outbreak, you have a scours problem, something like that, a lot of times the first reaction is to blame the disinfectant, and usually that's not the problem. The problem is somewhere else. It might be improper cleaning, maybe defective equipment that didn't apply the right concentration of the detergent, or maybe the guy just missed a spot. But usually that's if somebody complains to me that they're having an outbreak and they think it's a disinfectant, I usually try to steer them towards the cleaning process. But disinfection is still very important as the last step. By far our most popular disinfectant is the Gluquat 300. It's as the name suggests, the glue stands for glutaraldehyde and the quat stands for quaternary ammonium compound, so it's a combination of the two. This product contains 12.5% glutaraldehyde, which is a pretty high level compared to many other products of this type, and a relatively low amount of quaternary ammonium compound. And basically, we're just following the market here, and we're listening to our customers. A lot of vets say they prefer to see high levels of glutaraldehyde in the product. And it's a good reason to, because the glutaraldehyde is it's a much stronger disinfectant than the quats. The advantage of having both is that your glutaraldehyde do most of the killing, and then when the glutaraldehyde evaporates off the surface, the quat stays behind. So it does give you a kind of a residual action. So if any new germs get on, chances are they'll get killed until eventually the quat gets dissipated too. But that's the way I'd always look at it. Immediate, very quick action with glutaraldehyde, and then you have the quat for a residual effect. Penquat FD does not have glutaraldehyde. It's basically just a quat-based disinfectant. And that's for people who are not comfortable with using the glutaraldehyde. It does have a strong smell. And again, some people just are not comfortable with it, so we offer the Penquat FD. Hyper O is peracetic acid. This is an oxidizer. I'm seeing a lot more barns are hydrogen peroxide seems to be getting more and more popular. I'm hearing more and more about it, like especially the high concentration peroxide-based products. The advantage of peroxide, it's a strong oxidizer, and also it's very good for the environment because it degrades into oxygen and water. So there are some disadvantages to it. I think the peracetic acid is a stronger disinfectant, however, a stronger sanitizer, I should say, because we have hydrogen peroxide in the product, but we also added peracetic acid, which is basically acetic acid, which is vinegar with an extra oxygen. So it's what you have here is basically hydrogen peroxide on steroids. So this will sanitize a lot better than just straight hydrogen peroxide. Oops. Let me try this. Oh, I think I'm having a technical problem. I've tried advancing it with the arrows here, and it's. Oh, okay, all right. So we also have some acid cleaners. This is both for the trucks and in some cases too in certain barns where you have high water hardness levels. It's good to do an acid cleaning periodically. We have a low foaming acid cleaner for CIP, closed systems, and also for cleaning out water lines. It's foam check. It's simple formula. It's basically phosphoric acid and a little bit of a wetting agent. And this is what I normally recommend, especially for the water lines when you start having a lot of biofilm and mineral deposit in there and you want to clean that out. I got some pictures later that describes it a bit better. Weedak is a high foaming one, so this is what I normally recommend for cleaning for doing acid cleaning of the trucks, for instance. It'll remove the oxidation, brighten the aluminum. And also, if you want to do foam cleaning inside a barn and you want to remove mineral deposits around the barn, that's also our number one recommended product. We're going to talk about water treatment. This is something relatively new where there's more and more interest now in treating the drinking water. And so I'd just like to discuss that for a while. First of all, there's a lot of barns just use straight acetic acid, which is, of course, vinegar, to acidify the water. So it's relatively inexpensive, but it's also not 100% efficient. And also, if you use too much of it, it can give a vinegary taste to the water, and which the animals then will not drink. Hyper O, I mentioned it before. It's a good sanitizer for the surfaces, but it's also a good sanitizer for cleaning the inside of the water pipes, either through a shock treatment or even as a continuous treatment with the animals present. Mentioned that a bit later on. The last two products are basically just for lowering the pH. One thing we found, if you lower the pH of your water, it generally, the animals like it more. You'll get more drinking and probably a better conversion rate. And if you also lower the pH, you tend to sanitize your water better because generally most bacteria don't like a low pH. The quadracid is mainly phosphoric acid with a few organic acids added to it. West Acid R is a little bit more of a Cadillac. It has mostly organic acids and phosphoric, so it'll lower the pH and also hopefully give a bit of other benefits to the animals who drink it. Yeah. Oh, okay. If I'm not sure, but if I missed it, just bring it. Just mention it. So there's many things that can affect water quality, especially if you're using well water. You can have biofilm formation if the well water has a lot of bacteria in it, and if it has a lot of mineral deposits. This is just a little diagram of how bacteria form biofilm. You have a certain amount, they get together, they clump together, and then they start forming kind of a protective shield there. It's usually made of a sort of a I would say sort of a starchy kind of perfect. Anyway, it's very chemically resistant shield, so normal disinfectants will not affect it. You need very strong oxidizers or to dry it out or heat. And here's an example here of a pipe that's pretty dirty. You got the pipe wall, you got the biofilm, and usually under the biofilm, it will usually attach to a mineral deposit. Biofilms don't attach very well to smooth surfaces. So if you have a clean pipe, which is nice and smooth, the biofilm will probably not attach to it. But if you start getting a mineral deposit, a calcium or scale deposit inside the piping, that's nice and rough and rugged, and the biofilm loves to attach to that. So that's where your problems start. And sort of, see another thing, mineral formation, mineral deposits. That's the ideal thing. That's the beginning of your problems. You get the mineral deposit, and then the biofilm can start to attach to that. Next thing you know, you have very badly, your pipe's in very bad shape. I'll just give a little lesson on pH because we've been talking about lowering pH. The pH scale runs from 0 to 14. The lower the pH, the more acidic a product is, and the higher a pH, the more alkaline it is. And it's what they call a logarithmic scale. So every number is actually 10 times more than the previous number. So if you have a product that has a pH of 2, it is 10 times more acidic than the product with a pH of 3. So it can go up very quickly. Just to give you some examples, zeros, of course, are very strong acids. These are the acids that will burn you. Just put in battery acid, for instance, one that's most familiar with. Stomach acid has a pH around 1. And once you start reaching 2 and 3, it's still acidic, but they're not strong acids anymore. Lemon juice is a pH of around 2. Orange juice is about 3. Vinegar as well. And then, once you start getting 4, 5, 6, you're pretty much neutral. Coffee has a pH of 5. Milk has a pH of 6. 7, of course, is neutral. That's pure water would have a pH of 7. And, as you start going, baking soda, if you put baking soda in water, you should get a pH around 9. Ammonia has a pH around 11 or 12, and so on and so forth. Drain cleaner, most of the caustic drain cleaner has a pH of 14. That's very high caustic in it. If you're wondering what would burn you, I would generally say pHs of 1 and lower will burn you. It's highly corrosive. And a pH, I'd say about above 13 will start to burn you as well. But, between, let's say, 2 and 12, it might irritate your skin, but it's not going to cause any serious damage. And again, for the water treatment, how do you treat it? How do you prevent it? Maintenance. As I mentioned before, for the biofilm, the best thing to remove it are oxidizers. And the popular oxidizers, of course, are chlorine. Iodine, less popular these days, but it's sometimes still used a bit in drinking water. Peracetic acid, of course, we talked about. Hydrogen peroxide, we talked about. Chlorine dioxide, we also offer chlorine dioxide. It's a very powerful oxidizing agent. It's not very popular. We haven't sold too much of it because it is inconvenient. You need to basically mix two products together to activate it, and then you gotta wait a couple of hours for it to react completely, and then you gotta try to figure out how much you want to meter it out. So it is complicated. I mean, if you have a good system, though, it is very efficient. And when you use an acidifier in your water, like I said, it reduces the pH of the water in the gut, depending on how much you go. It can help reduce the bacteria. And also, if you start off with a clean system, if you already descaled your piping and now you start off with water at a low pH, it will definitely reduce or even completely prevent scale buildup. Scale does not build up if your water has a pH around 5. And so it's also it helps to prevent biofilm regrowth. If you can use an animal safe sanitizer in your water during flow or no flow. I just wanted to mention, I already mentioned hydrogen peroxide, some of the drawbacks to using peroxide, which is why we chose not to go with a peroxide route. We chose to go with the peracetic acid. Peroxide has a somewhat limited efficacy in certain types of bacteria and pathogens. I like these concentrated peroxide, like some of the stuff that's out for sale there at 50% concentrations. That's extremely dangerous, very reactive, and will react with organic materials like paper or fabrics or cotton or wood. So if you put let's say your jugs of peroxide on a wooden pallet and it leaks, it could catch fire. It could react with the wood and catch fire. We played with it a little bit in our plant, and we learned that the hard way. Fortunately, we didn't get it. We were able to stop it on time. So there's your little sonic boom effect there. And hydrogen peroxide can vary based on the water quality, especially if you have a high pH level. That peroxide is not very efficient. That's weird. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. We did some studies, and as you can see, we tested. This is not for when the animals are present. This is for a shock treatment. In other words, you have very bad pipe and you want to clean it out. You take the animals out. So this is for the shock treatment. And we noticed that when we did shock treatment with a 2% peracetic acid solution, we started off with almost 8 million bacterial count. And after 4 hours, it went down to 100. And after 24 hours, it went to less than 1. With a 50% hydrogen peroxide solution diluted 1%, even though we started with much less bacteria, only 1,659,000, after 4 hours, it only brought it down to 12,000, and after 24 hours, there was still some bacteria left. At 3%, it was a little better, but even then, it was not as efficient. So that's why we like the idea of going. I did something wrong here. I managed to get rid of the other thing, but it's. Oh, there. Okay. I didn't see you do it. Okay. And just press enter. Oh, unless I try this. Let's see. Oh. Okay, I just left. Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned, that's why we prefer the peracetic acid. We also know we also have a safe level for. We also recommend a certain dilution to do your shock treatment. After your shock treatment, you flush out everything, you rinse it out with water, and then you can meter it out at a 6 ppm level with the animals present. The animals can drink it. Also, if you're having if you're having a problem with your water, you can get a sample. You can have the water analyzed for mineral content, bacterial presence, pH levels, and there's experts there who can guide you as to the best treatment. You consult your veterinarians for that, and the veterinarian. We will work with the vets to come up with the best system and the best procedures. Hyper-O, that's our peracetic acid. And as I said, we recommend that over hydrogen peroxide because it's a stronger oxidizer. And we think because of that, it will work better against bacteria, viruses, fungi, and spores, and so on and so forth. It also acts on the biofilm, and it will also break down any organic components. And because it has an acid pH, it will also help a little bit on the mineral deposits, although I don't recommend doing that. I said if you want to really go after the mineral deposits first, use an acid like the foam check that I mentioned before, and then as a second step, you would go with the Hyper-O to remove any biofilm that may be remaining. So after you cleaned out your system, I recommend, now you got clean pipes. So that's when we recommend going in when you're with a water acidifier as a preventive thing. You keep your pH between 5.5 to 6.5. You can even go a little bit lower if you want. The animals will drink it more. And as I said, bacteria don't like that acid media, and it also helps to prevent the scale buildup. And quadracid is one of the ones that we recommend for that, to control your pH. And let's see. Quadracid contains formic acid, phosphoric, and a few other acids as well. And just before I go, that's basically what we're doing now. It's a relatively new thing for us. There's been a big demand for water treatment, so we're starting to get into that. Before I leave the water treatment segment, I don't know, are your questions answered there with Cordell? Or? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The peracetic after it's kind of like when you're cleaning in the site. You do a cleaning part, and then you do a disinfectant part. So in this way, your cleaning part is the acid treatment, and your disinfecting part is with the Hyper-O. We have a few other things too for boot dips. Well, I don't know if you. This is sort of an alternative to boot dips, where you're walking in the boot dips. It's actually a foaming carpet with a quat. Foamit is a foaming quat. So you have a disinfectant or sanitizing quaternium ammonium compound combined with a high foaming agent, and with the proper equipment, it actually shoots out a very thick foam of carpet, and then the people walk through that. And it helps keep the boots clean and relatively germ-free if you're going from one area to another. And just on a marketing point of view, we have a complete program. We have literature, we got equipment, we have technical services as you need it. And again, this is so with safety data sheets. We also have wall charts. I'll show you a little better here. So that's for your barn workers. If they want, they put wall charts. It gives you instructions on how to use the products. And then instructions, I think there's also safety instructions and stuff like that. So these are very handy. We also used to do this in food plants and stuff like that. The workers like it because they won't necessarily want to read the labels all the time, especially if you have a disinfectant label, which is tiny print and it looks like about 5,000 words, so this makes it simpler for everybody. And here's another example of the wall charts. We have online resources. That's our website, westpenetone.com. It's very user-friendly. You can find stuff. You can do a search by product, by end use, by industry. So we have a very good search engine in there, and so I invite you all to go to that website if you have any questions. And we have various equipment for metering, measuring, and that sort of stuff. I'm a chemist. I'm not an equipment expert, so I'm going to trust the marketing person that this is the right equipment to use. And this is the equipment used for the boot dip that I was just mentioning before. And of course, we offer a full line of technical service, training, and just basically a summary of what I've just mentioned before. So we have a good team, and like I said, we're experienced. We've been doing this a long time, and I thank you for your attention.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Pierre. Any questions, you guys, on waterline stuff? I would be interested to see by a show of hands what percentage of you guys are actually using peroxide versus chlorine versus anything else for like waterline disinfection, for example. Pardon? You're using both? Yeah. How often do you guys mix? No, you use one or the other. Okay. So who would use peroxide? Yeah. So the bulk of the guys. Nice. Yeah. Kurt, do you have a question?
So I guess a couple just add-on comments to. So we have most of these products, I would say. I shouldn't say most. Some of them. So Adhere, we sell a pile of Adhere soap, degreaser, and then Gluquat, the disinfectant. Those would be our two main products. We sell a lot of. Currently, we also have West Perox H8, which Pierre didn't talk about. That was kind of the similar to the Hyper-O, but kind of more like Prevail. It's a direct comparison to Prevail. So that would be another product we have. We also have Pen Blast 214M. So that's another acid similar to the Weedac that he kind of mentioned, a little bit milder acid. So that's more for kind of, like Pierre mentioned, kind of not routinely. So you'd go 3 rounds, something like that with Adhere, and then maybe 1 round with the Pen Blast, just to kind of get rid of that scale buildup. And then we have some foamies, and then some West Acid R. So that's the main acid that we currently are carrying for waterline purposes. And that one has more value kind of on the gut health side of it beyond just pH. So it's doing kind of both pH and acid.
Now, I'd just like to add that we do have a direct equivalent to Prevail coming soon.
Yes.
So right now, it's basically with Health Canada. We're waiting to get our drug identification number for the disinfectant. I'm expecting that sometimes during the year.
And another question I guess I had, I was intrigued, I just triggered my mind when I saw your foam blanket. Some farms are washing their animal, like washing sows before they come into the farrowing crates, or as they're coming into the farrowing crates to kind of reduce the contamination, especially now with loose housing, that's probably even more of a deal. 2 questions. Which products would you suggest for actually cleaning the sows if you're physically going to clean the sow? And then secondly, do you think your foam kind of mat there, is that safe for a sow to walk through / put her nose in? Because that's inevitably what's going to happen.
It's safe for them to walk through. Putting their nose in, I mean, it's shampoo, okay, with a quat. I'm a little bit more worried about the quat. It's relatively just non-toxic, but normally I'd say ask a vet for that. I can give you more information maybe about the quat if you want to. I don't think there'd be any problem, but when they're sticking it, if they start licking it and they start, I don't want to guarantee it's safe. I haven't really done too much research on it. Normally, this is intended for humans to walk through with their boots just to keep their boots clean. If the sows start walking through it and start playing in it, I'll be honest, I never really explored that possibility.
Would you want to just touch on the protocol for cleaning water lines as well?
Right, yes. I thought we had, I think we'll do a more detailed slide for that one, David. Yeah, the protocol is if you start off with bad piping, it would be to run, first of all, you run the acid solution, the foam check. Depending on how badly encrusted it is, I would say between a 5 and 10% solution. And you run that through, circulate it through for about 24 hours. And then when that's done, that should clean out all the lines. So you rinse it out. And the piping by this time should be pretty clean. And then after that, you run like a 2% solution of the Hyper O. That would be your final sanitizing rinse through if there's any residual biofilm left or anything like that. And you run that through. I don't think you'd have to do 24 hours, just maybe an hour or so, just to. And then again, you do a final rinse. And then after that, what I recommend once you start pumping the fresh water in is you start acidifying it right away, and you also add 6 ppm of peracetic acid. That's Hyper-O diluted, I think, to 1 to 2,000 or something like that. I mean, it's on the label. I can never remember exactly, but you dilute the Hyper-O to get 6 ppm, and this is on a continuous basis. And that's how we hope will prevent future problems with the water.